Alright, so it's November 1st, and right now outside it is about, I would say, 34 degrees. Okay, inside my greenhouse though, I would say it's about 60 degrees. So that's kind of the difference. Actually, it's probably about 40 outside, so it's probably about 20 degrees difference. I was asked to do a follow-up video on my Paw Paw seeds that I did. So now we're going to switch over to that. All right. So if you guys watch my other video about the Paw Paw germination, stratification, and how I kept them. So basically, I got about 200 Paw Paw seeds. Okay, this is what they look like. This is just an empty husk right now. See? Empty. So I got about 200 of those from Athens, Ohio, and I put them in this container, and I just been waiting patiently. Now, you have to wait. I put them in here in the spring, okay? And it's November, and some of them are just now starting to come up. Like that little guy right there, and this one right here. Some of them just now are starting to come up. Some of them are actually getting ready to lose their leaves because it's fall out. So this one right here, he started first. He was probably the first one to come up. And he's probably the tallest, and I would say it's about 10 inches, maybe a foot out of the dirt. Now what they do is, Paw Paws, is they grow their taproot first. So they grow a root that goes straight down, and we'll see if we can see one of those here. So here's my Paw Paw, and we'll just replant him in a second. Okay, there's his root system. Okay, it's going down first. It'll go down way before it goes up, and for every little bit that it's going up, it will it's going to go down even more. So this right now, this one right here, he is probably at the bottom of the container, and he's probably sending out feelers and just kind of expanding his root system. Now, so what are my plans for these Paw Paws? Okay, well, obviously I want to plant them, but I'm not going to plant them now. It's fall. It's going to be winter. I'm going to leave them in here all winter long, and I'm going to continue watering them because it gets plenty warm in here in the greenhouse for them. So they're not going to completely freeze after I water them. I'm going to keep watering them, and then in the springtime, okay, I'm going to break this container. Okay, I'm going to break it, and then I'm going to peel them away one at a time, and you'll see you just kind of, all of the roots are going to be intertwined, and so you kind of just pull them apart one at a time, and then I'm going to plant them on my property. So I have wild Paw Paws that I started inside. Now if you take a bunch of Paw Paw seeds and you go and you bury them, your odds of it actually planting a tree and the tree actually growing are going to be very slim. But if I do it this way, and I put a tree tube around it, each individual tree, then my odds of success are going to be very, very high, because Paw Paws actually like shade their first few years of life. So their first few years, they're going to grow under the undergrowth of the forest. Okay, so they're not going to have any sunlight at all, and they're just going to kind of just keep going straight up, and they're going to be like skinny trees. Okay. And then once they get about 8 foot high, then at that point, that is when they will bust through the canopy, and then that's when they start expanding their trunk size and everything like that. And then that's when they start producing the fruit as well, when they get this required amount of sunlight that they need. But the first few years of their life, they really don't like the sunlight anyway. So, but I also can't keep them in here for too much longer, because right now, all of their roots are going to hit the bottom of this, and they're just going to flange out. So they really need to be planted in the springtime in their homes where they're going to be, so the roots can go and get extremely wide and deep and everything like that. Now, also, you want to plant them outside eventually, and I always keep this door open every now and then, because I want, I keep that open, and then I open my window over here, because I want fresh air, and I want a wind to strengthen them. Because if you grow them, let's say to about 2-3 foot, and then you take that tree and then put it outside, it's not going to do very well because it hasn't had that rocking motion of wind that they would actually have in nature. So these need to be planted next spring. This is just a follow-up video. I would say out of the 200 or so seeds that I had planted, that the ones that actually sprouted up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the biggest one, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, so about a dozen have came through. Now, how many are under the surface that I can't see, that I'm not gonna just dig up? I don't know, but about a dozen. That's not very high odds because they're hard to grow. That's why not everybody has a Paw Paw tree in their backyard. So next year I will get more, and I've learned a little bit. So one thing I learned, the most important thing is you got to keep those seeds moist. So when you get these seeds, wherever you get them from, if they're not moist, they're gonna dry, and which is a lot of these, they dried out and they either shot up and then they died, like this little guy right here. So he shot up and then he just died because the seed is already dried out. So you got to keep them moist. That's one thing I learned. Another thing I learned is I should have gotten a bigger container, something deeper. It's a learning process. So next year I'll do things a little different, and I'll get probably a few more seeds and some different ones. But you see their leaves, it's like when the bigger trees, their leaf is like a tropical leaf. It's really big. So they're really pretty trees. They grow relatively straight. Right now they're trying to grow to the sunlight, so I keep moving this thing around, like turning it. But here's my Paw Paw trees so far. I hope this answered some of your questions. Also, if you have any more questions in the future about Paw Paws or any of the other trees that I have on the property, feel free to leave a comment, and we'll get those answered to you. Subscribe, leave a comment now, tell me what you think of this whole project. Like and also share the video, because that's how this channel grows, and that channel growth for little guys is like the best thing. Everybody needs to learn this stuff. So there you go. God bless.